Hello and thanks for joining us. First, a Pakistani artist is asking the US military to return the artwork he painted in Guantanamo Bay. Ahmed Rabbani and his brother Abdul were held in the US detention centre for nearly 20 years. They were released without charge in February. Ahmed claims the paintings denounce the torture he suffered at the hands of his captors. They were confiscated at the US military as the US military deemed them a threat to national security. Shahzeb Walla and Sonia Ghazali take us to an exhibition of his other work in Karachi.
2 months after their release from Guantanamo Bay detention camp, the Rabbani brothers, accused of having worked for the alleged mastermind of the September 11 attacks, are struggling to find their feet.
The world has changed so much, I'm still confused. When I left, my kids were babies, now they're taller than me. The Americans have destroyed my life and that of my family. They've taken 21 years from us.
It was in his cell that Ahmed Rabbani made hundreds of paintings. He was able to keep most of them, but several were seized by US authorities.
It's that sign of the Guantanamo Bay, the serial number. It's approved Guantanamo Bay. First there was no color, no painting, no the canvas, nothing. We fight it, forgot the color, maybe 3-4 years. After that, they allowed it.
For the past few days, the former prisoner has been exhibiting many of his pieces in this art gallery to make his story known to the public.
I spent here more than 1 year for torturing. All the steel, very cold, and sometimes you spend just with the shorts.
Since his release on February 23rd, Ahmed Rabbani has been demanding the return of his paintings from the United States military that were seized under the pretext of being a threat to national security.
I don't think it's color. This is our life suffering. My hopelessness for home, my sadness, my torturing, my blood. If they do, I know they don't give me my old painting. I refuse to release.
The exhibition also includes the work of several Pakistani artists who tried to recreate these missing pieces.
The censorship of his artwork and the fact that it is still in Guantanamo is completely unacceptable and wrong. There is no justification for the US military to keep these paintings.
In the painting seized by the American military, Ahmed Rabbani portrayed the torture he suffered during his years of detention.
Next, art critics have called it a once-in-a-lifetime exhibition, the chance to see 28 of Vermeer's small but perfectly formed canvases all under one roof. The 17th century Dutch master is considered the greatest painter of his time. The show is totally sold out, but you can take an online tour. Olivia Salazar-Winspear tells us more.
It's this year's blockbuster exhibition, so much so that all the tickets have been sold to see the work of master painter Johannes Vermeer. The milkmaid, the lace maker and the girl with a pearl earring, all of them stars in their own right.
She is a pop star, for example, and so is the milkmaid as well. So it's much more than art, it's much more than paint on canvas, but these have become icons.
Iconic images now splashed across a range of consumer products and gifts. They even feature in films and advertising, like the milkmaid and her popular range of French yogurts. Vermeer's cast of characters have truly entered our collective consciousness.
They're part of our history, so they've become something that we're used to seeing.
Vermeer's work was used quite a lot in ads, so I think that's why it's stuck in our minds.
The faces he painted seem timeless. They haven't aged at all. Their clothes might have changed, but we see those same expressions today.
4 centuries later, Vermeer still feels extremely modern, and that's because the Dutch master had a special talent for realism and a unique way with light. It makes all his paintings feel extremely true to life.
In some respects, they can feel like photography, There's a sort of hyper-realism that feels quite contemporary in style. That's why advertising and visual communication loves Vermeer paintings, because there's this feeling of optical illusion that matches our visual codes today.
And while this masterpiece is on loan to the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, its regular home, the Mauritshuis in The Hague, invited visitors to imagine their own version of the girl with a pearl earring. With thousands of entries, the museum selected some highlights, including one created using artificial intelligence, taking Vermeer into the 21st century and beyond.
Now, hairstyles have always defined the times. A new Paris exhibition explores hair trends on the head, face and body since the 15th century. With a snippet of what you can see at the Art Decorative Museum, here's Gavin Lee.
From the first glance, our hair offers a glimpse into our story. Its purpose for protection and warmth, deeply revealing too. Psychologists say it's how we mark our self-identity, to highlight or to hide in, revealing confidence and personality. And how the care and artistry of our hair over centuries has painted a picture of who we are and the message we choose to send. There's a reason behind every barnet and beard and how much we display. And this Paris exhibition takes us through the trendsetters. Like Louis XIV, bald at 20, the Sun King's penchant for the big wig changed the fashion game of the 1600s. The long, curly look, rocking as a symbol of power and regal grace. As for our body hair, historians say in epochs gone by, the elite would go all out not to look beastly.
Over the last few centuries, they were dampening, heightening, flattening, dressing, almost taming the hair and body hair too, precisely so that they didn't have a resemblance to animals.
So, between the hands of a hairdresser, we can be transformed. The museum shows how the hairstyles that are rich and complicated demonstrate one's social status. It took no less than 2 hours a day to prepare Austrian Empress Sisi and her long locks in the 1830s. Haircraft can define our music genre too, from the soft locks of French pop to the mohawks of punk rock, and the long-haired hippie too. In the 20th century, hair was a common way to show dissent.
I don't have a label. I don't care if people put a label on me. I don't give a damn. We're hippies and we don't care.
And the recent defiance of Belgian singer Angèle, armpit hair on display, mocking the sexist expectation of women shaving.
J'aurais pas enlevé mes poils, donc pourquoi je devrais le faire? Parce que je vais à Cannes en fait.
Our expression through our hairiness is constantly changing, according to the museum's curators, who say there's still way more to explore in how it speaks of who we are.
He was considered one of Europe's most prominent actors, a heartthrob of the 60s, 70s and 80s. Now, French actor Alain Delon is sharing his other passion, art. His private collection is up for sale. It's on display in New York before going under the hammer in Paris in June. Jessica Lemazurier reports.
French actor Alain Delon in New York, not for a movie premiere, not in person. The 87-year-old screen star's private art collection is here. More than 80 works of art, drawings, paintings and sculptures like this bronze by Bugatti, sculpted in the actor's image.
It's really a piece that represents him as an actor, as he played in the Guépard, or another movie that was called Les Félins. In the popular culture in France, our father is often represented as a lion, like the leopard, like a solitary animal.
Delon bought his first drawing in 1964, early on in his career. His collection includes works from Italian Renaissance master Veronese, French romantic artist Delacroix, and a Matisse sketch.
You see in this nude by Matisse how perfect the drawing is, when you see the shoulder, the arm, and the way it is very simply but perfectly made. Again, from the Renaissance to Matisse, the line is always the underlying thing. He never made his collection to have trophies on his wall, but it was really his secret garden.
Delon's secret garden, this oil on canvas hung in his living room.
Our father's favorite, it's La Baie de Sainte-Adresse. From the artist is Raoul Dufy. I used to see him when I was a child watching this artwork just in silence, and I think it was really soothing for him. That's why I'm a little sad. that he's parting with this one.
The entire collection will go to auction in Paris on June 22nd. It's expected to sell for between $4 to $5 million.
And we'll leave you with a glimpse inside the world of filmmaker Tim Burton, famed for movies like Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice. The acclaimed director is also renowned for a ghoulish aesthetic. A new exhibition at Paris's Villette is celebrating his work until August. Thanks for watching. See you next time.